Rick, we saw Mark and Gabe make an appearance for the team photo. Read anything into that in terms of potential availability for tomorrow?
Well, we're hoping for Mark, but definitely not for Gabe. So we'll see how Mark feels. He's feeling better today than he did yesterday or last night. He was able to eat today and last night. So, yeah, well, that decision will be made tomorrow morning, but Gabe is out.
How, in terms of the progression of this bug, like, are we close to getting it maybe out of the room entirely? Or
Well, we thought it was gone, and then all of a sudden Mark got it, so obviously not.
Vladi, Namestnikov,
he took a shot off the foot last night, and that's a little sore, so but we expect him to play tomorrow.
Okay. Too early to talk about your goaltending plan here for tomorrow night?
I'll be tomorrow night.
That'll be tomorrow.
Yep.
You're going to get to watch, I guess, the Ducks tonight on TV because they're playing in
Minnesota.
So
yep.
More focused, obviously, on your own team and hoping for another response after last night.
Yeah. We had a good practice today. The guys came ready to work. It was good tempo. Execution was obviously off last night, so it was much better today. And when you run out of practice time, sometimes you're just going to see it in the game. So with the heavy schedule and the back-to-backs, we kind of lost a couple of days of practice. So you have to take advantage of when you have a day like today, and you have to have a good practice. And we had a good practice.
I know you didn't want to talk about the inconsistencies last night, but how far do you think you've gone to solving it with your work today and behind the scenes?
Well, it starts with that practice. It starts with addressing it, which we did this morning again. So, listen, again, it's a good group. They care a lot. They're not happy when we don't play well like we did last night. So we regardless of the outcome, I expect a full response tomorrow for sure.
Not happy, that's an important thing. What does that look like with this team? Them not being happy with a performance or their results?
Just the body language and talking to them after the game and things like that. Yeah.
In his absences this year, what have you learned about what Mark Scheifele means to this team?
Well, I think that's quite obvious that he drives the bus up front. He makes the other players around him better. He's been doing a great job at both ends of the ice. There's games, and you go back to that first Vancouver game that he just took the game right over. So he's capable of doing that. And when he's not there, you definitely notice that. But when he's not there, that's when you need your other players to not try to replace him, but to make sure that they're bringing this best version of themselves. And when Mark's not there and we don't get the best version of the other players, then it looks like it did last night. So you don't replace Mark. But again, the focus has to go on the rest of the players to be the best version of themselves, much like we talked about earlier when we lost KC and we lost guys. So it just didn't happen last night. So regardless if Mark plays tomorrow, we're hoping that response will be from those guys making sure that they're a lot better.
Rick, what's the concern right now from you, like, with this team? Because if you go back to that Boston game, when that streak ended, the 3 goals or fewer, you guys are basically 500 since then. I think 11, 9, and 1. What's changed? Like, why is this happening, and what needs to change when you're heading into the playoffs? Because you talked about wanting to be ramping up at this time, but that's not really happening.
Well, it is and isn't. We've just been inconsistent. So the ramp up will be when we get more consistent. We've had some, we went into Carolina and won. That's a tough rink to play in, right? Seattle. So it's there. We have to just keep pushing the consistency in. When we have nights like we did last night, nights like we did in Vancouver, you have to address it, but you have to move on quickly and get the expectations and put all the focus on what makes us a very good hockey team, our principles, our fundamentals of how we play, and we're the best. We're at our best when we commit to team defense and create offense from team defense. when we're in the middle there, we look like we did last night. So we have to get back to that to get the more consistency. That team defense comes first. Everything else will take care of itself after that. So that's what we have to get up to get that consistency back.
So why does a consistent team then become inconsistent like that over the course of the season?
Yeah, there's every coach in every sport is trying to figure that out. But with this group, we do know what we look like when we're going well, and there's lapses, and this team has always responded after lapses. So we've just got to minimize those lapses, and just all we can do is we have to keep pointing out what's going wrong and what's going well, and keep pushing.
Going wrong? Like you didn't last night.
No, I know what's going on, so we'll just keep pushing behind the scenes, man.
Still not going to tell us, though, what
No.
it is?
Rick, on those nights when, say, the forecheck is maybe not quite where it needs to be and the churn game is not where it is to be, is there a plan B to take away from the susceptibility to those stretch passes? It was quite noticeable last night against Nashville. You weren't able to get your forecheck going aggressively.
Most of that was just poor puck management. If you look at the turnovers inside their blue line, we just kept feeding into their transition. When we did put the puck in, the goalie handled it way too much, so he was setting up the easy breakouts for them. There wasn't the pressure, there wasn't the layers. We were just late getting in. So it starts with puck management as you enter the zone, and when you have to put it in, you have to put it in a place where you can apply pressure and not just give it to the goalie. So he sets it up, passes it up, and they're gone, because that's when you're caught in the middle, and that's when you end up chasing the game. So it's puck management, it's puck placement, and it's just a lot harder work to get in on top of them.
Rick, what stood out to you about Mason Appleton's season, and what's it meant for him to add a little bit more offense in this last block of games here?
Yeah, it's good to see, because that line's been so good for us all year, and you like to see them rewarded with goals. I mean, they know their role, they know their job, and they're very good at it. But yeah, everyone wants to contribute offensively, so it's good for Mason to score a goal, and Adam scored the big goal in Seattle, so they want to be rewarded. Nino scoring, so listen, when you get into this time of the year and you get into the playoffs, you need your third and fourth lines to contribute. It's not always the top lines that's making the difference in the games. In a lot of playoff games, it's that third and fourth lines. You look at Vegas last year, how good and dominant their fourth line was. They did a lot of great things. They started every game, they started every period, and they set the tone. They did a lot of great things. So you talk about Eichel and you talk about all their stars. That fourth line did just as much damage for them, just as much help to win that Stanley Cup. So we need that third and fourth lines to contribute.
What stood out to you about the meetings with the Ducks so far for your group? I mean,
The what? Sorry?
I know the focus is on your team, but what stood out about the games against the Ducks, and what's it like to face a team like that?
I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to them. I'm going to watch the game tonight and get a better feel for it.
Just on Gabe, do you anticipate that he'll travel with the team for the
I'll probably better answer that tomorrow.